Samantha Sam Miller sat quietly, her small hands gripping the hem of her dress as she watched her father, Nathan, laugh with a woman who wasn't her mother. The engagement party buzzed around her, but all Sam could feel was a strange unease that she couldn't quite explain. Angela, the woman everyone said was perfect for Nathan, seemed too perfect, and Sam had a gut feeling something was terribly wrong. In this gripping story of family, trust, and deception, young Sam finds herself at the center of a whirlwind as her father prepares to marry a woman who might not be who she claims to be. As she uncovers unsettling truths about Angela's past, Sam faces the impossible task of stopping her father from making a dangerous mistake. But will her warnings come in time? What would you do if you had to protect someone you love from a terrible secret? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're hooked already, make sure to subscribe to our channel for the next part of Sam's courageous journey. Samantha Sam Miller sat quietly on the edge of her seat, her small hands gripping the hem of her pale blue dress. The room buzzed with the sounds of clinking glasses, soft music, and laughter as the engagement party continued around her. But Sam felt out of place. She wasn't focused on the excitement or the happy chatter. Instead, her wide brown eyes were fixed on her father, Nathan Miller, who stood in the center of the room, holding hands with a woman who wasn't Sam's mother, Angela Thompson. Sam had heard her name whispered countless times over the past few months, always accompanied by glowing compliments. She was beautiful, elegant, and perfect for Nathan. Or so everyone said, but Sam wasn't so sure. From her spot near the back of the room, Sam could see the way Angela leaned in toward her father, whispering something in his ear that made him smile. Her father's face lit up with a happiness Sam hadn't seen in years, and for a brief moment Sam felt a pang of guilt. She should be happy for him. After all, he deserved to smile again after everything they'd been through. But something about Angela made Sam uneasy, though she couldn't quite explain why. "Sam!" A familiar voice broke through her thoughts, and Sam turned to see her Aunt Beth waving from across the room. Beth had been her rock player ever since her mother passed away 2 years ago, and she always seemed to know when Sam needed a little extra support. Sam gave a small wave in return but hesitated to join her. Angela's gaze shifted briefly in her direction, a smile playing on her perfectly painted lips. But it wasn't the warm, inviting smile Sam was used to from her father's friends and family. It was something else. Something colder, sharper. Sam's stomach twisted with unease. Angela glided across the room towards Sam, her long blonde hair cascading over one shoulder. She bent down slightly, lowering herself to Sam's height, and her voice dripped with sugary sweetness. "Sam, darling, don't you look just lovely tonight?" Angela cooed, her bright blue eyes studying Sam a little too intensely. "Are you having fun at the party? I bet you're excited about everything, aren't you?" Sam's mouth felt dry. She didn't want to be rude, but she couldn't shake the strange feeling that swirled in her gut every time Angela spoke to her. She forced herself to nod. "Yes, it's fine." "Fine?" Angela echoed, her smile widening slightly, but her eyes remained cold. "Well, I hope you'll come to see how wonderful things are going to be. After all, we're going to be a family soon." Just then, Nathan approached, grinning from ear to ear. His eyes sparkled as he looked between his daughter and his fiancée. "There's my girl," he said, scooping Sam up into his arms. He pressed a kiss on her cheek, his joy radiating from every part of him. "What do you think, kiddo? You excited for Angela to be part of the family?" Sam squirmed in his arms, uncomfortable with the attention. She didn't want to upset her dad, not when he was finally happy again, but the words felt heavy in her throat. "I guess." Nathan's smile faltered slightly, his brow furrowing in concern. "You guess? Come on, Sam. This is a good thing. You know how much Angela means to me." Sam looked away, biting her lip. She didn't want to hurt him, but she couldn't lie either. Before she could respond, Angela stepped closer, her hand resting gently on Nathan's arm. "Oh, don't worry, Nathan," she said, her tone syrupy sweet. "Sam just needs some time to adjust. It's a big change for her." Nathan sighed, giving Sam a reassuring squeeze before setting her down. "Yeah, maybe you're right." He smiled at his daughter, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "I know it's a lot, but Angela's going to make us both happy, Sam. You'll see." Sam nodded, though her heart wasn't in it. She mumbled something about needing to find Aunt Beth and quickly slipped away, not wanting to stay under Angela's watchful gaze any longer. As she weaved through the crowded room, Sam's mind raced. Angela was always so nice when her dad was around, but there was something beneath the surface, something Sam couldn't quite put her finger on. She just wished her dad could see it too. In the weeks that followed the engagement party, life at home changed drastically. Where once their house had been quiet and peaceful, it now buzzed with the constant flurry of wedding preparations. Angela seemed to be everywhere at once, making decisions about the flowers, the venue, the guest list, and as she took control of more and more aspects of Nathan's life, Sam felt increasingly pushed to the sidelines. One evening, Sam sat at the kitchen table, watching as Angela flipped through a stack of wedding magazines. Nathan, seated across from her, was absorbed in a conversation about table settings and color schemes, things Sam couldn't care less about. Sam glanced down at her plate, pushing the food around with her fork. She wanted to ask her dad to go to the park with her that weekend like they used to, but she didn't know how to get his attention. He seemed so wrapped up in the wedding, in Angela, that he barely noticed anything else. Angela must have sensed Sam's eyes on her because she looked up, smiling that too-perfect smile. "Sam, sweetie, you haven't touched your dinner. Is everything okay?" Sam's heart skipped a beat. She nodded quickly. "I'm just not that hungry." Angela tilted her head slightly, her eyes narrowing just a fraction. "You should eat. You're going to need your energy for the flower girl dress fitting tomorrow. It's a very special day for your father and me." Sam bit her lip, nodding again, even though her stomach churned with nerves. She wasn't looking forward to the dress fitting. In fact, she wasn't looking forward to anything about the wedding. But she couldn't say that. Not to Angela, not to her dad. Later that night, as Sam lay in bed, she stared up at the ceiling, her mind buzzing with thoughts she couldn't make sense of. Everything had changed so fast. Her dad was happy, happier than he'd been in years. But Sam felt like she was slipping further and further away from him. She missed the way things used to be before Angela came into their lives, before her mother passed away. Sam hugged her pillow tightly, wishing her mom was still here. She would know what to do. She would understand. But her mom wasn't here, and Angela was. Over the next few months, Sam's unease about Angela grew stronger, though she struggled to find the words to explain why. Angela was perfect in every way, or at least that's what everyone said. She was beautiful, charming, and always said the right things. But when her father wasn't around, Sam noticed subtle shifts in Angela's behavior. It started with small things, cold glances, curt responses, but gradually it became more pronounced. Angela's smiles faded when Nathan wasn't looking, replaced by tight-lipped frowns. She ignored Sam's attempts to talk, brushing her off with a dismissive wave or a distracted response. One afternoon, while Nathan was at work, Sam sat at the kitchen table with a book about outer space. She had always loved reading about planets and stars, and she was excited to share what she'd learned with her dad. But when Angela entered the room, Sam felt a knot form in her stomach. "Miss Angela," Sam began hesitantly, hoping to start a conversation. "We're learning about the solar system in school. Did you know that Jupiter has the most moons?" Angela didn't look up from her phone. "That's nice, Sam," she replied, her voice flat. "But I'm busy right now." Sam's shoulders slumped. She stared down at her book, feeling the weight of the silence between them. It wasn't just the words. There was something in Angela's tone, something sharp and dismissive that made Sam feel small and unimportant. Later that evening, when Nathan returned home, Angela's demeanor changed completely. She greeted him with a warm smile and a kiss on the cheek, laughing at his jokes and asking Sam about her day as if nothing had happened. To an outsider, they would have seemed like the perfect family. But Sam knew better. She could see the falseness behind Angela's smile, and as much as she wanted to tell her father, something held her back. He was so happy, happier than he'd been in a long time, and Sam didn't want to ruin that for him. As the wedding date drew nearer, Sam found herself spending more time alone in her room. The once close bond she shared with her father felt distant now, and Angela's presence in their lives had only widened the gap. One Saturday afternoon, while Nathan was out running errands, Sam sat in her room reading when she heard the sound of Angela's voice drifting down the hallway. It wasn't the sweet, affectionate tone she used around Nathan. It was sharp, angry, and hushed, as if she didn't want anyone to overhear. Sam crept out of her room, following the sound of Angela's voice to the study. She pressed her ear against the door, her heart racing as she listened. "I told you, Mark. Everything's under control," Angela hissed. "I just need a little more time. The wedding is soon, and after that, we can move on to phase 2. Sam's brow furrowed. Who was Mark? And what did Angela mean by phase 2? She strained to hear more, but Angela's voice dropped to a whisper. Sam's pulse quickened. Something about the way Angela spoke made her stomach twist with dread. This wasn't just wedding talk. This was something else, something secretive. Before Sam could hear any more, the door to the study creaked open, and Angela stepped out, her eyes immediately locking onto Sam. For a moment, there was a flash of something cold and calculating in Angela's gaze before she plastered on a smile. "Sam, sweetheart, what are you doing out here?" Angela asked, her voice laced with artificial warmth. "I was just getting a drink of water," Sam stammered, backing away from the door. Angela's smile tightened, and for a brief second, Sam thought she saw a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. But then Angela shrugged, brushing it off. "Well, go ahead then. I'll be in the kitchen if you need me." Sam nodded quickly, hurrying down the hallway. But as she filled her glass with water, her mind raced with questions. Who was Mark? And what exactly was Angela planning? Sam couldn't shake the conversation she overheard between Angela and the mysterious Mark. The name kept ringing in her head like a warning bell. There was something going on, something her father couldn't see. She needed to find out more. One evening, while Angela was out shopping and Nathan was at work, Sam saw her chance. She had been sitting in the living room, staring at Angela's laptop sitting on the desk, her mind buzzing with curiosity. She knew snooping was wrong, but something told her this was important. With trembling hands, Sam made her way to the study. She sat in front of the laptop, feeling her heart race as she opened it up. Angela's computer wasn't password protected, and Sam quickly navigated through the folders, hoping to find something, anything, that could explain the strange phone call. After a few minutes of searching, Sam's eyes widened as she stumbled across an email thread. Her breath caught in her throat as she read the messages. They were between Angela and someone named Mark Davis. They discussed plans for after the wedding, hinting at something ominous. Phrases like, "after the policy is settled," and "once we have control," made Sam's blood run cold. The final email in the thread was the most disturbing of all. Angela had written, "Nathan won't suspect a thing. We'll execute phase 2 right after the wedding." Sam's fingers trembled as she quickly took pictures of the emails on her phone, her heart racing. She couldn't believe what she was reading. Angela wasn't just lying to her father. She was planning something terrible. But what exactly was phase 2? And what did it have to do with the life insurance policy mentioned in the emails? As Sam closed the laptop, she heard the front door open. Angela was back. Panicking, Sam rushed out of the study and darted into her room, her heart pounding in her chest. She pressed her back against the door, her mind spinning with the weight of what she had just discovered. She had to tell anyone, but would they believe her? The following day, Sam couldn't keep the secret any longer. She had to tell someone, and the only person she trusted was her Aunt Beth. Beth had always been there for Sam, especially after her mother passed away, and Sam knew she could count on her now. After school, Sam and Beth were sitting on the porch swing at Beth's house, sipping lemonade and talking about school. But Sam's mind was elsewhere, weighed down by the discoveries she had made the night before. "Aunt Beth," Sam began hesitantly, her voice trembling. "There's something I need to tell you. Something about Angela." Beth set her glass down, turning to face her niece with a concerned expression. "What's going on, sweetie? You can tell me anything." Taking a deep breath, Sam explained everything. The phone call she overheard, the emails she found on Angela's computer, and the suspicious way Angela had been acting when her father wasn't around. As Sam spoke, Beth's face grew more serious, her eyes narrowing as she listened. "I know it sounds crazy," Sam said, her voice shaking with worry. "But Angela is planning something, Aunt Beth. I just don't know what. She mentioned something about life insurance, and there's this guy named Mark." Beth was quiet for a moment, processing everything Sam had told her. Finally, she placed a comforting hand on Sam's shoulder. "Sam, I believe you. And if Angela's up to something, we need to find out exactly what it is." Relief flooded through Sam, and for the first time in days, she felt like she wasn't alone in this. "What should we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Beth sighed, her mind racing. "First, we need to gather more evidence. We can't just go to your dad with suspicions, especially when he's so in love with Angela. We need something concrete, something undeniable." Sam nodded, her resolve hardening. She wasn't going to let Angela hurt her father. Whatever it took, she would stop her. Over the next few days, Sam and Beth worked together to uncover more information about Angela. Beth, who had always been sharp and resourceful, started digging into Angela's past, looking for anything that could shed light on who this woman really was. Meanwhile, Sam kept a close eye on Angela at home. She paid attention to every phone call, every hushed conversation, and every moment when Angela's sweet facade slipped. It wasn't long before she started noticing patterns. Angela was constantly texting someone saved in her phone as M. Sam was certain it was Mark. One afternoon, while Angela was out for a meeting, Sam sneaked back into the study. This time, she found something even more disturbing, a folder labeled policy. Inside, there were documents outlining a massive life insurance policy taken out in Nathan's name. The payout was enormous, millions of dollars, and Angela was the sole beneficiary. Sam's stomach churned. This was it. This was the proof she needed. Angela wasn't just after her father's love. She was after his money. And once the wedding was over, something terrible would happen. That evening, Sam sat on Beth's porch once again, clutching the pictures she had taken of the insurance documents. Her hands shook as she handed them over to her aunt, who examined them carefully. Beth's face hardened as she read the details of the policy. "This is serious, Sam," she said, her voice low. "This isn't just a suspicion anymore. Angela is planning something terrible." Sam swallowed hard, her heart racing. "What should we do?" Beth sat back, thinking carefully. "We need to confront Angela, but not directly. If we go to the police without enough evidence, we risk her turning the situation against us. We need more proof. Maybe something from this Mark. We have to catch them in the act." Sam nodded, her resolve solidifying. She had come this far. She couldn't back down now. The next day, Beth and Sam began quietly gathering as much information as they could. Beth used her connections to look deeper into Angela's past, while Sam continued to monitor her at home. It wasn't long before they discovered something shocking. Angela wasn't who she claimed to be. Her real name was Sarah Connors, and she had a history of conning wealthy men. 2 of her previous fiancés had died under mysterious circumstances, and in each case, Sarah had collected a large life insurance payout. The realization hit Sam like a punch to the gut. Angela was dangerous, and if they didn't act soon, her father could be next. As the wedding day approached, Sam's anxiety grew unbearable. She and Beth had uncovered enough information to know that Angela, Sarah, was planning something terrible, but they still hadn't figured out what Phase 2 entailed. All they knew was that it involved her father's life insurance policy, and that it would happen after the wedding. Then one afternoon, the doorbell rang. When Sam answered, she was met with a tall man she had never seen before, Mark. Mark Davis introduced himself as the wedding planner, though Sam immediately recognized him from the emails. He was the man Angela had been working with, her partner in crime. Sam watched carefully as Angela greeted Mark, her smile bright and warm. But there was something off about the way they interacted, something that didn't feel like a simple business relationship. They exchanged quick, almost secretive glances and spoke in low voices whenever Nathan wasn't around. That evening, as Sam sat in her room, she felt a sense of dread settle over her. Mark was here. Whatever they were planning, it was about to happen. With the wedding only a few days away, Sam felt a growing sense of urgency. She and Beth had gathered all the evidence they could, but they still didn't know the full extent of Angela and Mark's plan. And time was running out. One evening, Sam overheard Angela and Mark talking in the study. Their voices were low, but Sam pressed her ear against the door, straining to hear. "It has to be perfect," Angela whispered. We can't afford any mistakes. Once the wedding is done, we move on to phase 2. Nathan won't know what hit him. Sam's blood ran cold. This was it. The confirmation she had been dreading. They were planning to hurt her father. Maybe even kill him. Heart pounding, Sam rushed to Beth's house the next morning. "Aunt Beth, we have to stop the wedding. They're going to hurt Dad, I know it." Beth's face was grim, but she nodded. "You're right, Sam. We can't wait any longer. We need to act." Together, they made a plan. On the day of the wedding, Sam would confront Angela in front of everyone. She would reveal the truth, the evidence they had gathered, and expose Angela for who she really was. It was risky. There was a chance no one would believe her. But Sam knew she had no choice. If she didn't act, her father's life could be in danger. The morning of the wedding arrived with the sun shining brightly through Sam's bedroom window, but all she felt was a sinking dread in her stomach. This was the day she would have to stop her father from making the biggest mistake of his life. And while everyone else was buzzing with excitement, preparing for what they thought would be a joyous occasion, Sam knew better. She stood in front of her mirror, dressed in her flower girl dress, the pale pink fabric soft against her skin. She should have felt excited. This was supposed to be a happy moment, but instead, her hands trembled as she pulled on her shoes. She kept replaying the plan she had made with Aunt Beth. Today, she would reveal everything. She just had to find the right moment. Downstairs, the house was filled with the sound of people moving about, finalizing details for the ceremony. Nathan had already left for the church, and Angela was in her room, getting ready. Sam avoided everyone, her nerves stretched tight. "Sam?" Aunt Beth's voice called softly from the doorway. Sam looked up to see her aunt standing there, her face filled with a mixture of concern and determination. "Are you ready?" Beth asked, stepping into the room. Sam nodded, though her heart pounded in her chest. "I'm ready." Beth knelt down in front of her, smoothing a stray curl away from Sam's face. "You're so brave, Sam. I know this isn't easy, but we're doing the right thing. Your dad needs to know the truth." Sam swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. "What if he doesn't believe me?" Beth's face softened, but she kept her voice steady. "He'll believe you, Sam. You've got the proof. And once you say what you need to say, everything will fall into place. Just trust yourself." Sam took a deep breath, nodding again. Together they left the house and made their way to the church. The drive felt like it lasted forever, the weight of what was about to happen pressing down on Sam's small shoulders. When they arrived, the church was already bustling with guests, all chatting excitedly as they waited for the ceremony to begin. Sam stayed close to Aunt Beth as they entered the church, her eyes scanning the room. She spotted her father near the front, standing by the altar in his tuxedo, talking with the officiant. He looked so happy, so completely unaware of the danger he was in. It made Sam's heart ache. She glanced over to the other side of the room and saw Angela, dressed in her wedding gown, talking quietly with Mark. Even from a distance, Sam could see the calculating look in Angela's eyes. She knew this was her last chance to stop whatever they were planning. Sam's heart raced as she took her place at the front of the church, standing beside the bridesmaids. She clutched the small bouquet in her hands, trying to steady her breathing. Her mind raced with the plan she had gone over 100 times in her head. She would wait until the officiant asked if anyone objected, and then she would speak. She would tell the truth, no matter how scared she felt. The ceremony began, and Sam's hands trembled as the music filled the air. Angela walked down the aisle, her face glowing with what appeared to be joy, but Sam knew better. Angela's smile was nothing more than a mask. Sam tried to focus on the officiant's words, but everything felt like a blur. All she could think about was what she had to do, what she had to say. Her heart pounded in her chest as the ceremony progressed, and soon enough, the moment she had been waiting to arrive. If anyone can show just cause why this couple cannot lawfully be joined together in matrimony, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. The words echoed in Sam's ears, and for a brief second she froze. Fear gripped her, and the world seemed to tilt around her. What if no one believed her? What if she ruined everything and her father never forgave her? But then she remembered the emails, the insurance policy, and Angela's cold, calculating smile. She remembered that her father's life was at stake, and with that thought, Sam's fear turned into determination. She took a deep breath, stepped forward, and spoke. "Wait!" Her voice rang out, high-pitched and trembling, but strong enough to silence the room. Every head turned in her direction, and a collective gasp rippled through the guests. Nathan's eyes widened in confusion as he looked at his daughter standing in front of everyone. "Sam?" he asked, his voice soft, filled with concern. "What's going on?" Sam's hands trembled, but she forced herself to speak. "You can't marry her, Dad. She's not who you think she is." A stunned silence fell over the room as Sam's words hung in the air. Angela's smile faltered for just a moment, but her eyes narrowed in anger. "What are you talking about, Sam?" Nathan asked, taking a step toward her, his brow furrowed. Sam's heart raced, but she knew this was her moment. "She's been lying to you. She doesn't love you. She's only marrying you for your money, and she's planning to hurt you." The room erupted into whispers, and Sam could see disbelief and shock on the faces of the guests. But she kept her eyes on her father, willing him to believe her. Angela let out a nervous laugh, stepping toward Sam with a forced smile. "Sweetie, I know this has been a lot for you to handle, but you don't know what you're saying. This is all just a misunderstanding." "No!" Sam shouted, her voice breaking. "I know what I heard. I saw the emails. I saw the insurance policy. You're going to hurt my dad." Nathan's face paled, his eyes flicking between Sam and Angela. "Sam, what are you talking about?" Sam's breath hitched as she tried to explain. "I heard her talking to Mark. She's been planning this all along. She's going to take everything from you, Dad. You have to believe me." A murmur spread through the guests, and Nathan turned to Angela, his face filled with confusion and hurt. "Angela, is this true?" Angela's smile was gone now, replaced by a cold, hard expression. Her eyes narrowed as she glared at Sam, and for a moment she looked like she might lash out. But then, as if realizing that the eyes of the entire church were on her, she took a step back, raising her hands in a gesture of innocence. "Nathan, don't listen to her," Angela said, her voice sharp. "She's just a child. She doesn't understand what's going on." But Nathan didn't look convinced. He turned back to Sam, his eyes filled with worry. "Sam, are you absolutely sure about this?" Sam nodded frantically, tears welling in her eyes. "Yes, Dad. I wouldn't lie to you. I heard her. She's been mean to me for months, and now she's planning to hurt you. Please, you have to believe me." For a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Nathan stared at his daughter, his mind racing as he processed what she was saying. He looked over at Angela, who was now staring at him with an icy glare. Then slowly, Nathan's face hardened. He turned to Angela, his voice quiet but firm. "Angela, what is going on?" Angela's eyes flicked around the room, realizing she was losing control of the situation. Her expression twisted with frustration and anger. "This is ridiculous," she snapped, her voice rising. "You're really going to believe the wild accusations of an 8-year-old over me? I've done nothing but love you, Nathan. But maybe I've made a mistake." Nathan's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. "Answer the question, Angela. What are you planning?" For the first time, Angela's calm, collected facade cracked. Her eyes filled with fury, and she took a step toward Nathan, her voice low and venomous. "You think you're so clever, don't you? But you never saw it coming." Nathan stepped back, his face pale. "What are you talking about?" Angela sneered, her voice dripping with contempt. "You were supposed to be an easy mark. An insurance policy, a quick payout, and then I'd be gone. But your little daughter had to go and ruin everything." A collective gasp went up from the guests, and Nathan's face turned white with shock. "Angela!" Before anyone could react, Angela turned and bolted down the aisle, her white wedding dress flowing behind her. Guests scrambled out of the way as she pushed past them, making a beeline for the door. "Stop her!" someone shouted. But Angela was already gone, disappearing out the church doors and into the bright sunlight. The church erupted into chaos. Guests whispered furiously to each other, some still in shock, others moving toward Nathan and Sam with concern in their eyes. Nathan stood frozen at the front of the church, his mind reeling from what had just happened. Sam felt her legs give way beneath her as the weight of everything she had just done came crashing down on her. Aunt Beth rushed forward, pulling Sam into a tight hug as tears spilled down her cheeks. You did it, Sam, Beth whispered, her voice filled with pride. You saved him. Nathan, still stunned, looked down at his daughter. His face was a mix of disbelief, pain, and overwhelming gratitude. Slowly, he knelt down in front of Sam, pulling her into his arms. I'm so sorry, Sam, Nathan whispered, his voice trembling. I should have listened to you. I should have seen what was happening. Sam clung to her father, her tears soaking into his tuxedo. It's okay, Dad, she whispered. I just didn't want you to get hurt. Nathan held her close, his heart breaking with the weight of everything that had happened. You're so brave, Sam. You saved me. The church was nearly empty now. Most of the guests had left, whispering about the shocking events they had just witnessed, while a few lingered outside, unsure of what to do. The police had been called to search for Angela, but no one knew where she had gone. Nathan sat in one of the pews at the front of the church, his head in his hands. The weight of the day pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. The woman he thought he loved, the woman he was about to marry, had been lying to him all along, and it was his 9-year-old daughter who had saved him. Sam sat beside him, her hands still trembling from everything that had just happened. Aunt Beth was next to her, holding her hand, giving her the quiet support she needed. Sam couldn't stop replaying the moment in her head, standing up in front of everyone, telling the truth, and watching Angela's mask slip away. She had done the right thing, but now that it was over, she felt exhausted. Nathan finally lifted his head, turning to look at Sam. His eyes were red, his face etched with pain and guilt. Sam, I don't even know where to start, he said, his voice hoarse. I should have listened to you. I should have seen it. Sam shook her head, her voice small. It's not your fault, Dad. She fooled everyone. Nathan reached out, taking her small hand in his. But I'm your father. I'm supposed to protect you, not the other way around. Tears welled up in Sam's eyes, and she squeezed his hand tightly. I just didn't want anything bad to happen to you. Nathan felt his heart twist with a mix of love and sorrow. He had been so focused on his own happiness that he had overlooked the signs, ignored his daughter's warnings. I'm so proud of you, Sam, he whispered, his voice breaking. You were so brave. Aunt Beth leaned forward, placing a hand on Nathan's shoulder. You're both going to be okay. This was hard, but you've got each other. That's what matters. Nathan nodded, though his mind was still spinning with everything that had happened. He had nearly lost everything, his future, because of a woman he thought he could trust, but Sam had saved him. He would never take her for granted again. That night, the house felt eerily quiet. The wedding that was supposed to have taken place had been canceled, and the guests had gone home. The police were still searching for Angela, but they hadn't found her yet. Nathan and Sam had returned home with Aunt Beth, trying to settle back into some semblance of normalcy, but it wasn't easy. Sam sat on the couch, staring blankly at the television, though she wasn't really watching. Her mind was elsewhere back at the church, replaying the confrontation over and over again. She still couldn't believe it had happened. Nathan sat beside her, glancing at his daughter every few minutes. He could see the weight of the day still sitting heavily on her shoulders. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know how to begin. He had failed her in so many ways, by not seeing the truth, by not protecting her. And yet, it was Sam who had been the one to stand up and protect him. He finally broke the silence. Sam? She looked up at him, her brown eyes wide and tired. Nathan cleared his throat, his voice thick with emotion. I just want to say I'm sorry for everything, for not listening to you, for putting you in this position. Sam looked down at her hands, picking at the edge of her sleeve. It's okay, she mumbled. I just didn't know how to tell you. Nathan's heart ached as he watched his daughter struggle with the weight of the situation. He wished he could go back in time and change everything, pay more attention, see the signs, protect her better. But he couldn't. All he could do now was make sure she knew how much he loved her. He reached out, pulling her into a tight hug. You're the most important thing in my life, Sam. I need you to know that. I'm never going to let anything like this happen again. Sam nodded against his chest, her small arms wrapped around him. I know, Dad, she whispered. For a long moment, they sat there in silence, holding on to each other. The fear and anxiety of the day slowly melted away, replaced by the quiet comfort of knowing that they had each other. The following week was a whirlwind of police interviews, meetings with lawyers, and endless phone calls from concerned family members. The search for Angela, or rather Sarah Connors, as the police had discovered her real name, was ongoing. But as the days passed, it became clear that she was an expert at disappearing. She had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the wreckage of her lies. Nathan felt a sense of dread every time the phone rang, wondering if it would be the police calling to tell him they had found her. Part of him wanted closure, wanted to see her behind bars for what she had done. But another part of him feared what would happen if she came back. Sam, for her part, tried to move on. She threw herself into her schoolwork, trying to focus on something other than the events of the wedding day. But it wasn't easy. She had seen a side of the world she wasn't prepared for. A world where people lied and manipulated for money, where her father's life had been at risk. It was a lot for a 9-year-old to process. One afternoon, Nathan and Sam sat in the living room together, the television playing quietly in the background. Sam was working on her homework, but Nathan could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she kept glancing out the window as if expecting someone to appear. Nathan said softly, "The police are doing everything they can to find her. She won't hurt us again." Sam didn't look up from her notebook. "I know. But what if they don't find her?" Nathan sighed, running a hand through his hair. He didn't have an answer for that. The truth was, he didn't know if the police would ever find Angela, but he couldn't let Sam live in fear forever. "We're going to be okay," Nathan said, his voice firm. "I've made sure of that. We've got a new security system, and I'm not taking any chances. You're safe, Sam. I promise." Sam looked up at him then, her eyes filled with worry. "Do you really think so?" Nathan nodded, offering her a small smile. "I do. And we're in this together, you and me." For the first time in days, Sam smiled, a small, hesitant smile, but a smile nonetheless. As the weeks passed, life slowly returned to something resembling normalcy. Nathan returned to work, though the memory of Angela's betrayal still weighed heavily on him. He had trusted her, let her into his life and into Sam's life, and it had nearly cost him everything. But with each passing day, he grew more determined to move forward and rebuild the bond he had with his daughter. Sam, too, was slowly healing. She spent more time with her friends, getting back into her usual routines. But there were still moments, late at night or when she was alone, when the fear crept back in. She wondered if Angela would ever come back, if she would ever feel completely safe again. One Saturday morning, as Sam and Nathan sat at the kitchen table eating breakfast, there was a knock at the door. Nathan tensed, his heart skipping a beat as he glanced toward the entrance. "I'll get it," he said, standing up and walking over to the door. When he opened it, he was met with the sight of Officer Johnson, the police officer who had been handling their case. His face was serious, but there was a hint of relief in his expression. "Nathan," Officer Johnson said, stepping inside. "We found her." Nathan's heart pounded in his chest. "Angela?" Officer Johnson nodded. "She was found in a motel outside of town. She's been arrested, and she's being held in custody." Relief flooded through Nathan, and he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "Thank God," he muttered. Officer Johnson gave him a sympathetic look. "I know this has been a difficult time for you and your daughter, but I wanted to let you know that she won't be able to hurt either of you again. She'll be facing a long list of charges." Nathan nodded, feeling a sense of closure he hadn't expected. "Thank you, officer." As the officer left, Nathan turned back to Sam, who had been listening quietly from the kitchen. She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Is she gone?" Sam asked, her voice small. Nathan nodded, walking over to her and kneeling down beside her chair. "She's gone, Sam. She can't hurt us anymore." Sam stared at him for a moment, as if trying to process the information. Then slowly, a smile spread across her face, a real smile this time. She let out a deep breath, her body relaxing for the first time in weeks. "We did it," she whispered. Nathan pulled her into a hug, his heart swelling with pride and love. "Yeah, we did." Months passed, and the day of Angela's trial arrived. Nathan and Sam sat in the courtroom, surrounded by lawyers, reporters, and curious onlookers. The room buzzed with quiet whispers as Angela, no longer the elegant, composed woman she had once pretended to be, was led in wearing a prison uniform, her face pale and hard. Sam's heart raced as she watched Angela sit down at the defense table, her eyes briefly scanning the room. When their gazes met, Sam felt a chill run down her spine. Angela's eyes were cold, calculating, but there was no sign of the charm she had once used to deceive everyone. Nathan placed a comforting hand on Sam's shoulder, squeezing gently. "It's going to be okay," he whispered. "She can't hurt us anymore." Sam nodded, though the sight of Angela still made her feel uneasy. She had been so close to destroying their family, so close to getting away with everything. But now, they would finally see justice served. The trial lasted several days, with witness after witness taking the stand to testify against Angela, now revealed as Sarah Connors. The prosecution laid out the evidence: her history of manipulating wealthy men, the fraudulent life insurance policies, and the trail of lies she had left behind. Mark, Angela's accomplice, had already pleaded guilty and was serving his sentence, and his testimony only further incriminated her. Sam was called to testify as well, her small frame looking even smaller as she sat in the witness stand. Her voice wavered slightly as she recounted the events leading up to the wedding, the overheard phone calls, the emails she had found, and the final confrontation in the church. It was hard to relive those moments, but Sam knew it was necessary. As Sam spoke, Nathan watched with a mixture of pride and sorrow. He had never wanted his daughter to experience something like this, but her bravery had saved him. Seeing her up there, so composed and honest, made him realize just how strong she was. When the trial finally came to an end, the jury delivered their verdict: guilty on all counts. Angela, or Sarah, was sentenced to a lengthy prison term, ensuring that she would never harm anyone again. As the judge handed down the sentence, Nathan felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was finally over. The nightmare that had nearly destroyed his family had come to an end. After the trial, life slowly began to settle into a new normal for Nathan and Sam. With Angela gone for good, they were able to focus on rebuilding their lives. The weight that had hung over them for months lifted, and for the first time in what felt like forever, they could breathe freely. Nathan decided to take some time off work to focus on his relationship with Sam. He had spent so much time wrapped up in his own life, in his own pain, that he had missed the warning signs. But now he was determined to be there for his daughter in every way possible. They spent their days together, going on hikes, fishing at the lake, and even taking weekend trips to places they had always wanted to visit. Nathan rediscovered the joy of simply being with Sam, watching her laugh, seeing her smile, and hearing her talk about the things she loved. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. Sam, too, began to heal. The fear and anxiety that had haunted her slowly faded away, replaced by a newfound sense of confidence and peace. She excelled in school, made new friends, and even started writing stories about brave heroes and heroines who stood up for what was right, no matter how hard it was. One afternoon, as they sat on the porch swing together, Sam turned to Nathan with a thoughtful expression. "Dad?" "Yeah, kiddo?" Nathan asked, looking over at her. "Do you think it's okay to forgive her?" Sam asked quietly. "Angela, even after everything she did?" Nathan was quiet for a moment, thinking carefully about his answer. He had asked himself the same question many times. How could he forgive someone who had tried to destroy his life? Someone who had put his daughter in danger? "I think," Nathan said slowly, "forgiveness is something you do for yourself, not for the other person. It doesn't mean what she did was okay, or that you forget it. But if you hold on to the anger and hurt forever, it only hurts you in the end." Sam nodded, her brow furrowed in thought. "I think I want to forgive her. Not because she deserves it, but because I don't want to feel angry anymore." Nathan smiled softly, his heart swelling with pride. "That's a brave decision, Sam. I'm proud of you." Sam smiled back, leaning her head on her father's shoulder. "I'm proud of you too, Dad." As the months turned into a year, Nathan and Sam continued to move forward, leaving the darkness of the past behind them. They both knew that what had happened would always be a part of their story, but it didn't define them. They had survived it, together. Nathan eventually returned to work, but he kept his priorities in check. He made sure to be home for dinner every night, to be there for Sam in the ways he hadn't been before. He also reconnected with old friends, rebuilding the support network he had lost during his relationship with Angela. Sam thrived in school, her love for writing growing stronger with each passing day. She joined the school's writing club, where she shared her stories with her classmates, and even won a writing contest with a story about a girl who saved her father from a dangerous villain. Her teachers praised her for her creativity and her resilience, and Sam found herself happier than she had been in a long time. On the one-year anniversary of the wedding that wasn't, Nathan and Sam decided to start a new tradition. They packed a picnic and drove to a beautiful state park, spending the day hiking, fishing, and enjoying the peace and quiet of nature. As they sat by a crystal-clear lake, watching the sun set over the water, Nathan turned to Sam with a soft smile. "Sam, I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened last year." Sam looked up at him, curious. "Yeah?" Nathan nodded, his eyes reflecting the warm, golden light of the setting sun. "I realized something important. What Angela did to us was terrible, but in a way, it taught me the most valuable lesson of my life." Sam tilted her head, her brow furrowing. "What lesson?" Nathan smiled, ruffling her hair affectionately. "It taught me that the most important relationship in my life is right here. You and me, Sam. We're a team, and nothing's ever going to change that." Sam beamed, throwing her arms around her father in a tight hug. "I love you, Dad." Nathan hugged her back, his voice thick with emotion. "I love you too, Sam, more than you'll ever know." Life continued to move forward, and Nathan and Sam embraced the future with open hearts. The shadow of Angela's betrayal still lingered, but it no longer consumed them. They had faced the storm together, and they had come out stronger for it. Nathan eventually started dating again, but this time he was more cautious, more discerning. He made sure that anyone who came into his life truly valued and respected both him and Sam. And no matter what, Sam always came first. As for Sam, she continued to thrive. She developed a love for mystery novels, often joking that she had some real-life experience in solving mysteries. She even started writing her own stories, filled with brave heroes and heroines who always fought for what was right. On the second anniversary of the wedding that wasn't, Nathan and Sam returned to the state park, sitting by the same lake where they had watched the sunset the year before. They talked about the future, about Sam's dreams of becoming a writer, about Nathan's hopes for their family, and about the adventures that lay ahead. As they sat together, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Nathan felt a sense of peace settle over him. The past was behind them, and the future was full of endless possibilities. And as long as they had each other, Nathan knew they could face anything. Years had passed since the day Sam exposed Angela's deception. Now a teenager, Sam had grown into a confident, independent young woman. But the lessons from that fateful day stayed with her, shaping who she had become. Her instincts, sharpened by the experience with Angela, made her more aware of the people around her, always careful to trust but verify. In high school, Sam found herself in a new environment where friendships were complex and social pressures loomed. She had always been cautious about whom to trust, and her circle of friends remained small but close-knit. However, when she started noticing a classmate, Lisa, making decisions that reminded her of Angela, secretive phone calls, sudden changes in behavior, and an unexplained relationship with an older guy, Sam's alarms went off. One afternoon, Sam approached Lisa after class, her heart pounding in her chest as she remembered the day she had confronted Angela. She didn't want to jump to conclusions, but she had learned to trust her gut. "Lisa, I noticed you've been acting different lately," Sam began carefully. "Is everything okay? You can talk to me if something's going on." Lisa's eyes flickered with surprise, but then she shook her head, her voice evasive. "Everything's fine, Sam. You don't have to worry about me." But Sam knew better. She kept an eye on Lisa, gently offering support without pushing too hard. Eventually, Lisa opened up, admitting that she had been caught up in a manipulative relationship. Sam's patience and understanding gave Lisa the strength to break free and seek help. Sam's experience with Angela had given her a deep sense of empathy and a drive to protect those she cared about, and it became clear to her that standing up for what's right, even when it's hard, was a part of who she was. Nathan, too, had come a long way since the day his life nearly unraveled. For years, he avoided dating, too wary to trust anyone after Angela's betrayal. But as time passed, he knew he couldn't let fear control his future. He began cautiously re-entering the dating world, meeting new people, but always with Sam's well-being in mind. One day, Nathan met a woman named Rachel through mutual friends. She was kind, thoughtful, and shared many of Nathan's interests. At first, Nathan kept her at a distance, worried that history might repeat itself. But as they spent more time together, he began to realize that not everyone would be like Angela. Rachel was open, transparent, and genuinely cared about both Nathan and Sam. However, as their relationship deepened, Nathan faced a dilemma: how to introduce Rachel into Sam's life. He didn't want to rush things, and he certainly didn't want Sam to feel threatened or neglected. One evening, Nathan sat down with Sam to talk. "Sam, there's something I want to tell you. I've been seeing someone. Her name's Rachel." Sam looked up from her homework, her expression guarded. "Rachel?" Nathan nodded. "I wanted to be honest with you. I care about her, but I also want to make sure you're okay with this. Your opinion matters the most to me." Sam was quiet for a moment, processing the information. She remembered how things had gone with Angela, and for a moment, fear crept in. But she could see the honesty in her father's eyes and hear the genuine concern in his voice. "Can I meet her?" Sam finally asked. Nathan smiled, relieved. "Of course, kiddo. I want you to get to know her." When Sam met Rachel, she was cautious at first, but over time she realized that Rachel was nothing like Angela. She was warm and attentive, always making sure Sam felt included. And slowly, Sam allowed herself to trust again, knowing that her father had learned from the past, just as she had. Despite the closure brought by Angela's arrest, the echoes of her betrayal lingered in the community. For a long time, people whispered about Nathan and Sam's ordeal. Some wondered how Nathan had been fooled, while others were impressed by Sam's bravery. At school, Sam overheard kids talking about the girl who stopped her dad's wedding, and at first, it made her uncomfortable. She didn't want to be known only for that moment. But over time, she realized that people weren't gossiping out of malice. They admired her courage. Some of her peers even came to her for advice when they faced difficult situations. Nathan, too, felt the ripple effects in his professional life. Colleagues treated him differently after the truth about Angela came out. Some offered awkward sympathy while others distanced themselves, unsure of how to approach him. But Nathan held his head high, choosing not to dwell on the past. He focused on his work, proving that he wasn't defined by his mistakes, but by how he had moved forward. Over time, the whispers died down, replaced by respect. Nathan's resilience and Sam's bravery became the story that people remembered, not the betrayal. The community saw them as a family who had faced adversity head-on and came out stronger on the other side. Just as Nathan and Sam began to feel that life had settled into a peaceful rhythm, an unexpected letter arrived in the mail. It was addressed to Nathan, but there was no return address. Inside was a single piece of paper with a chilling message. "You got away this time, but we're still watching." Nathan's hands trembled as he read the note. His first thought was that it had something to do with Angela, but she was still in prison. Could it be one of her old associates? Mark had been jailed as well, but they had learned during the trial that Angela and Mark were part of a larger network of con artists. Was someone coming after them for revenge? Nathan's first instinct was to shield Sam from the threat, but he knew that hiding it from her wouldn't help. That evening after dinner, he sat Sam down and showed her the note. Sam's eyes widened as she read it. "Dad, what does this mean? Are we in danger?" Nathan sighed, trying to keep his voice calm. "I don't know, but I'm not going to take any chances. We'll contact the police and I'll make sure we're protected. I won't let anything happen to you." Sam nodded, her face pale but resolute. She had faced danger before, and though the thought of someone coming after them scared her, she wasn't going to let fear control her. "We're a team, right?" Nathan smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "Always." They immediately contacted Officer Johnson, who had handled Angela's case. The police took the threat seriously and increased surveillance around their homes. Nathan also installed additional security measures, ensuring that they would be prepared for anything. For weeks, Sam and Nathan lived with the looming fear that someone might try to harm them. Every creak in the house, every unfamiliar car passing by, set their nerves on edge. But as time passed, nothing happened. The police couldn't trace the letter, and no further threats arrived. Eventually, the fear began to fade, but Sam and Nathan remained vigilant. They knew that life was unpredictable, but they also knew that together, they could face whatever came their way. As the months passed, Nathan and Sam continued to build their new life together, stronger than ever. The challenges they had faced had only deepened their bond, and they had both grown in ways they never expected. Nathan and Rachel's relationship blossomed, and Sam welcomed her into their family with open arms. They became a tight-knit unit, supporting one another through life's ups and downs. Sam felt safe again, knowing that the people around her were honest and trustworthy. On the second anniversary of the wedding that wasn't, they returned to the lake for their annual tradition. This time, Rachel joined them, and together they sat by the water, watching the sunset and reflecting on how far they had come. "I never thought we'd be here," Nathan said softly, looking out at the peaceful water. "But we made it." Sam smiled, leaning against her father's shoulder. "Yeah, we did." Rachel reached over, placing a hand on Nathan's. "It's amazing how strong you two are. You've been through so much, but you never gave up." Nathan squeezed her hand, his heart full. "That's because of Sam. She's the strongest person I know." Sam blushed but didn't protest. She had learned to accept her own strength and to trust herself in ways she never had before. And as she looked out at the horizon, she knew that no matter what challenges came their way, they would face them together, stronger, wiser, and always ready for whatever life had in store. Years later, as Sam prepared to leave for college, she and Nathan returned to the lake one last time before her departure. Sitting by the water, they reminisced about everything they had been through together. The memories of the past still lingered, but they were no longer painful. Instead, they were a testament to their resilience. Sam said with a smile, "I think the day I stopped your wedding was the best thing that ever happened to us." Nathan chuckled, his eyes crinkling with affection. "You might be right, kiddo." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, Nathan put his arm around Sam, pulling her close. "No matter where you go, no matter what you do, remember one thing, we're always a team." Sam looked up at him, her heart full of love. "Always." And with that, they sat in peaceful silence, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, their bond was unbreakable, and they would face the future together, stronger than ever. If you followed this incredible journey of bravery, love, and resilience, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that show the power of family. Leave a comment below and let us know how this story touched you. What would you do if you were in Sam's shoes?